Here are 5 tips to shooting better social media content on your iPhone. And we're gonna make it simple, because why complicate things? How you guys doing? If you don't know who I am, my name is Jaden Young. I'm a content creator and content coach, newly coached. I am mainly based on Instagram and TikTok at I am Jaden@Y. So if you wanna go give me a follow and see what I do on there, you're welcome to. I have now migrated over to YouTube, so hello. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. And yes, I do have a script because I will go off topic. Social media is like the new wave to do any and everything, whether it's getting your information from social media, learning new things on social media. Social media is the way to go. And I know for a fact there are a lot of people out there who want to get into creating content for social media, but they're like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what gear I need. And so let this video be like somewhat of like a start for you. With that being said, you don't need the newest $5,000 camera from Sony or Canon or whatever to make good content. A lot of my content on my social media has been shot with my phone, and I have some shot with my camera, and a lot of people can't tell the difference. So I mean, you know, I might know a thing or two about this, but needless to say, let's get into the tips, because that's what you came for. Let's go. So to shoot proper content on your iPhone, you need the correct settings. You need certain things toggled on and you need certain things toggled off. So let me show you what settings you need to be using. First, you want to go to your settings app and you want to scroll down to the camera. After that, you want to click on format. Now, I like to use most compatible only because it reduces the file sizes and I don't have that much storage on my phone. But usually I recommend high efficiency. High efficiency, you can get like the best quality out of your phone. And it's just kind of better. If you don't have a lot of storage and you want to reduce your file sizes with your videos, definitely use most compatible. Next is record video. Now this is like your base video resolution and frame rate, but we're gonna go over that more later. Me, I like to stick at 4K 24. And then in this same folder, you wanna scroll down a little bit and you wanna turn off HDR video. Now, what is HDR? Have you ever tried to go and edit your video from your phone and it looks like so blown out and it just looked completely weird and you were like, this is completely unusable? You might have been shooting at HDR. The brother to HDR, which is SDR, which stands for standard dynamic range, is what most cameras shoot in, what everything that looks good on the internet is shot in. But we don't have time to go into all that, so cut off HDR. Next, you want to go into your preserve settings and you want to cut on creative controls. Now, this allows you to change a setting in your camera, go off your camera, come back to your camera, and the settings be the exact same. With this off, every time you go in and out of your camera app, it resets. So cut it on to save you a bunch of time and energy. As well as the rest of these settings in preserve settings, you can just copy exactly what I have here. And if you have more options or less options than me, that just means that you're using either a newer iPhone or an older iPhone. So just adjust accordingly. After that, the last thing in the settings I want you to cut on is your grids. Now, your grids help a lot with your composition, which can be a big part of your video. So please cut those on. Now, after we have our settings right, then it's like, well, what gear do I use? Now, this tip isn't a whole tip in itself, so it's kind of like a subcategory. Anyway, listen, you only need like 3 solid things to make good videos. 1, you need a camera or your iPhone. 2, you need a tripod because you're not gonna always have someone holding the camera for you, or it's not gonna be the most convenient to always try to prop up your phone on random things around the house or wherever you record. So a phone, a tripod, and last thing is good audio, so you need a microphone. Now, you don't have to get a professional lav mic that costs $300. You can go get one off Amazon for like $30, plug that into your phone using the little iPhone adapter, and your quality is pretty much better just like that. Anywho, next tip, I'm gonna switch microphone hands to give it a little oomph. A lot of people have questions about using external apps to record on your phone. A lot of people like to use apps like Filmic Pro. There's a DJI app. Now, the reason I don't like to use these apps and I don't recommend using these apps is, for one, they're not as user-friendly, meaning it can be hard to find things. You don't really know how to use the settings in that app, as well as it's not as user-intuitive. That's a word. Yes, user intuitive as the original camera app. So this tip is use the original camera app. I promise you, you don't need to buy that $15 app that promises to make your camera look cinematic. Tip number 3, the little nooks and crannies within the camera app. The actual app. First off, let's start with exposing. To expose your image, wait a minute. Exposure means lighten or darken your image. To expose your image correctly on the camera app, all you have to do is press and drag up and down. Once you drag up, it exposes or it puts more light on your image. And if you expose down, it just brings down the light in your image. Now, let's talk frame rate and resolution. I told you we was gonna talk about it. Frame rate. Now, the proper frame rate to use, if you ask quite literally any creator, any filmmaker, any person that uses a camera, you're gonna get a different answer? Here's my answer. 24 or 30 frames per second for talking heads like this or for any normal type of video. I lean more towards 24. 60 frames per second if you plan on slowing it down. Now, resolution. A lot of people will tell you that 1080p is just fine for social media, but in my personal experience, 4K will get you the best footage possible. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, when you put it on social medias and whatnot, it will compress it down further anyways, which is completely true. Everything you upload to the internet will eventually just be 1080p regardless. But when you shoot in 4K, export in 4K, and put it on social media as 4K, it looks better to the eye, well, at least to my eye, than if you shot it in 1080, export in 1080, and put it on social media as 1080. But nevertheless, do not use 720p, 480p, anything lower. Now let's talk about f-stop or aperture. If your phone allows cinematic mode, you can choose and change your f-stop, meaning how blurry or how focused your background is. Now, the default f-stop for cinematic mode on most iPhones is like 2 point something, and it looks horrible. Honestly, it doesn't look realistic, and it doesn't look like you shot it with a camera. Next, this is where a lot of people mess up at when they record. You want to change the aperture, aka your f-stop, to a 7.1 minimum. I repeat, minimum. This changes your depth of field and like the blurriness of your background, and turning this number up makes your video look more believable and makes it look like you recorded it with a camera instead of your iPhone. Now, you might be ready to start shooting, but not quite yet, because it's one more thing that you got to go through before you actually shoot your video. Which brings me to my next tip: lighting. Lighting can quite literally make or break your video just like audio. And if you don't believe me, let me show you. This is what my video looks like with a nice softbox light that's actually not even that expensive, with a very cheap sunset light thing that I got from Five Below. And this is what it looks like without all of this. This looks absolutely horrible, and I'm not exaggerating. The only light that is on right now is quite literally the one for the room. There we go. Anyway, like I was saying, I can very much do like a whole video on lighting. I could do a whole video on audio. I could do a whole video on anything you want me to do. Just let me know down below in the comments, and I got you, of course, because this is our community. So, to wrap up this tip, definitely invest in your lighting. Preferably a light that you can put a softbox on. If not, a ring light will do you just fine, I promise. Or a cheap panel light. Next tip. At last, but not least, we have editing. Now, if you've scrolled on the internet more than once in your lifetime, you've heard the debate between Final Cut Pro, DaVinci, Resolve, or Premiere Pro. Now, listen up. All of these apps are very much top of the line, great, amazing editing apps. I use Final Cut Pro. Great app, intuitive. But you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on an editing software because there's an app called CapCut. Now, we're not sponsored by CapCut, sadly, depressingly. It's okay. Hopefully they spin the block, because that's all I teach on my Instagram. Speaking of, if you want to know more tips about CapCut than I speak in this video, let me know, or just go over to my Instagram because I teach a lot of CapCut tips. Anyways, CapCut is a dope free editor with a lot of pro tools in it, which allows you, for one, get a taste of what these pro apps feel like and look like, as well as when it's time for you to upgrade to one of these pro apps, it's so much easier to upgrade because you know the tools and how to use them. But I'm gonna give you the basics on CapCut that you need to know to be able to at least edit your first video. Now, when you open up CapCut, all you have to do is press New Project and select from your camera roll or wherever you choose the videos that you want to edit. So I'm just click this one, for example. For one, when you click on each clip, there's these white blocks on the beginning and end of each clip. You can drag it in to make the video shorter and like cut off the ends, or if you accidentally cut off the ends, you can drag it out some more to extend it. Down below in the left corner, you hit split to cut the video in half. There's a speed button over here, so if you want to do like a mini speed ramp, or if you just want to speed up or slow down your clip, you press that. You can scroll all the way over to the volume. Obviously, you cut the volume up or down. You can hit extract audio, which will allow you to see your audio clip, edit your audio separately, as well as move your audio anywhere you want to from that clip. And last but not least, one of my favorite, absolute favorite features in CapCut, you deselect your video, you hit text, and you hit auto captions, and it captions the entire video for you. I kid you not. And the captions are like 99% right. But nevertheless, those are all of the features that you need to know and kind of familiarize yourself with to be able to actually create a video like this. I hope these tips were very helpful for you, and I hope they made you realize that you don't need the $5,000 camera, the $300 light, the $700 audio kit. You don't need all of that to create nice videos. And you know what? Let me give you a bonus tip before we wrap it up. In these videos, don't try to be your favorite TikTok star. Don't try to be your favorite Instagrammer. Be yourself. Now, I know you hear this a lot, but it's a really good tip that a lot of people miss because they think when they cut on this camera you're someone different, but no, you're the same individual. Bring your same spirit, bring your same personality, because that's what people will be attracted to. Now, I hope this video brought you some value. If it did, definitely hit the subscribe button because we trying to grow. Come on now. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you turn on post notifications, the whole nine, because we're definitely doing weekly uploads and we're consistent. Because if I can post every day on Instagram, which I do, go follow me on Instagram at IamJadenLY. If I can post every day on Instagram, I can definitely post at least once a week on here. So be expecting some videos. That's why you need that notification bell cut on. Hope y'all have an amazing day. And with that being said, thank me later.